We're gonna have to get you a towel. I can't have you keep it on.
I spritzed over here, and I'm just obsessive compulsive enough that it's really bothering me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
I
know.
Broke your train of thought. I interrupted the certified cicerone, and that's just not acceptable.
Yeah. Let this be a lesson to you, sir.
Coming to you from the Beer to Whiskey Studios, high atop Barley's Tap Room in glorious downtown Greenville, South Carolina, I'm Russ Heaps, and welcome to this episode of Big John in 5. And that's where I get my good buddy here, Big John Richards, a certified cicerone and the beer whisperer around these here parts, to pick a beer from Barley's 72 taps or 50 and 60 cans and bottles. We sniff them, we sip them, we kibitz about them. John tells us a little bit about the brewery. Sometimes we even learn a little bit about brewing. And with that, John, what are we doing?
We are going old school.
Old school.
We're going to.
Is that sort of is that a hit on me when you talk about old school? Is that like
no?
Rush, you look like you're old school. Is that
although,
the whole thing?
Ironically, these guys do have a beer called Old School.
Ah.
In fact, it's on draft behind us. We may.
At least they don't have a beer called Russ That Old Fart. Go ahead.
Not at all. So this is their 60-minute IPA, which is their kind of classic American IPA, which counterintuitively is not the first one in the series. 90-minute was one of their first beers, and that's the great story where he actually was trying to do a slow, continuous hop addition over a total of 90 minutes. So he set up an electronic football game.
Oh, yeah.
We mentioned that.
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
You just buzzed and let the hops slowly fall into the beer.
Yeah.
So obviously the process is a little more refined today. But the whole concept is that over the full 60 minutes of the boil, they add hops a little at a time. So there's not a bittering addition at the front, and then a aroma addition late, and then flavor addition late, and aroma addition at the end, which is kind of the traditional method. There's just a little bit of hops added over the whole sum total of the time, and that happens the same way with 90 minute, with 60 minute, and with 120 minute. Just the length of the boil varies, so the total amount of hops that go in obviously varies. So 60 minutes, that classic, and you can see how clear and bright that is.
Yep.
Russ, you can see right through it.
You can. I could read a nuspaper. Read a newspaper through this if I chose to read a newspaper.
Right. Or if you could find one.
I could watch TV through this, which is more likely what I would do than read a newspaper.
So we're doing that classic front end with the pine and the grapefruit. We're getting that malty backbone, that clean, crisp finish on the end, and this is that real classic, old school American IPA where it all started, where the craze began, was nobody had beer that ever tasted like this before, ever. Because even the old European hops of the same varieties. We're gonna have to get you a towel. I can't have you keep it on.
I spritzed over here, and I'm just obsessive compulsive enough that it's really bothering me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
I
know.
Broke your train of thought. I interrupted the certified cicerone, and that's just not acceptable.
Yeah. Let this be a lesson to you, sir. No, I think I was nearing the end of it anyway, that this is kind of how, even with the same variety of hops, if you grew it in Europe or you grew it in North America, the difference in climate and soil makes the American hops a lot more aggressive. So you can take the exact same variety and grow it in even Maine or New Hampshire, or whatever, any of those growing regions up there, which probably too far north in Maine, but don't quote me on that. but then stretch it across to the Willamette Valley, and it's a different hop. And it's then a completely different hop when you grow it in Europe or when you grow it in New Zealand. So all of these hops are a little bit different depending on where they're grown, and then when they cultivate them and breed them with different native hops, then you get something completely different. So all of that to say that when American IPA hit the market, the world had never seen anything like it, ever. And so this is kind of the beer that helped. There's the hammer to the back of the head of the world beer culture.
Okay.
So let's try some.
I would love to.
Russ is going to hate this.
Text Miss Lily.
Actually, I don't know that that's 100% true. This may be more palatable to you than you think it's going to be.
The segment that we shot before this was an Irish stout, so my taste buds are going
Still trying to push through that.
They're going to have to catch up to this.
No, that's true, and I chose this because the bitterness will complement each other, and you're going to get that more true hoppy bitterness versus the coffee bitterness of the Irish stout. But that bite is the same, and there's just a ton of carbonation in this beer, so you get that carbonation heat, and I'm getting the pine right up front, and then I'm getting the finish. The grapefruit is all finished for me.
I'm getting the pine. This is incidentally isn't head. This is lacing.
This is beautiful.
Wow. This is really.
I love the way a properly hopped beer just laces a glass that way, and lets you know that you're drinking out of a completely clean glass that's been taken care of.
I'm getting pine. I'm getting grapefruit.
Yeah. And those are the dominant things. There's a little bit of other things going on in there. There's a little bit of that catty hoppiness to me in there. So
I don't dislike. What's the ABV of this?
6%.
I don't dislike this. I could drink 2 or 3 of these without a problem. I mean, even pints. We're trying to behave, and we've reformed from drinking everything out of pint glasses on these shoots because we do shoot a lot of segments in the day, and then we wind up.
We feel bad about throwing beer away,
and so we don't. We just drink it up. So we're doing smaller glasses, but this would normally be served in a pint glass. I could do 2 or 3 pints of this.
Right, and at 6%, it's definitely enough to get your attention. That's a higher than average alcohol strength, but not by a lot. You still can be responsible with a beer like this.
Boy, the pine on that is
so
big.
I love it.
That is so much of what I'm tasting.
I miss it so much. Y'all, please, I miss it so much. Bring back my IPAs. Please,
John's
for the
having a
love of
moment.
God.
He's having a moment.
It's so hard to find a good, clear, find out West Coast IPA that actually has a balance of bitter and sweet. It's so hard.
And it's not a big hoppy thing at all.
No.
It's just those flavors. I could drink this.
Yeah.
I would order this.
It's balanced.
Which is high praise indeed. I would order this.
And we've been bad. We've been guilty in the United States of going for the most aggressive flavors that we can. And we tend to do that as a people. We kind of swing from one extreme to another.
In everything.
In literally everything. There goes that phone. It's not a beer to whiskey shoot if there's not a phone call.
Yeah, you can't.
But there's something very satisfying about finding a perfectly balanced beer.
Yeah.
And this is one of them.
And it is. It really is.
And these guys, the whole Dogfish Head company was bought by Bossa Beer Company 3 or 4 years ago now, but they still continue doing all their same. They got the inn, they've got the restaurants, the pubs, and in Delaware, in Milton and Rehoboth Beach, and maybe a couple of others. And so I guess Boston Beer Company is, of course, Sam Adams.
Right. I was just getting ready. I was trying to think of who the Boston Beer
I
Company
think
was. I was going to ask.
they're allowing the company to sort of run itself under the auspices of Sam Adams or Boston Beer Company, because obviously you don't see Boston Beer Company printed on the label of Sam Adams either.
Right.
So these things are the way beer is going. Beer is becoming a conglomerate organization, and it is overseas already. But I'm glad to see a lot of our craft brewers joining together, like the Artisanal Brewing Ventures and Boston Beer Company doing this, and kind of becoming a buying collective to compete with the big guys, because I think that's the only way craft survives in this country.
Anything else we want to say about this?
I think we covered it.
I think, and more, and more.
And more. And then
we
some.
always give you a little more.
That's right.
All
There's
right.
always more.
So damn lucky. See you next time.